Let's address Spurs. I am not getting much lashback on TikTok. However, my YouTube is going insane right now. But I figured this is a good time to talk about how and why Spurs are used. Especially a lot of cowgirls don't know. Like, they do come across a little bit intimidating. And if you don't know how to use them, they can be harmful to the horse. I think that's something we can all agree on. Everybody says spurs are an extension of the leg, but why? If my leg is against a horse without spurs, I have one action movement, pushing my heel against the horse's side. And if that doesn't work, I have to then resort to bumping and then resort to kicking if I'm not getting the desired effect. This is also how the concept that spurs create softer horses comes in. You are teaching your horse to choose the lighter option. I would also like to point out that most spurs that people are using for things such as barrel racing, I'm not knowledgeable in a lot of spurs that people use in other disciplines, but this is what I do know. If you look at this up close, this is an incredibly rounded rowel, right? It looks kind of big and scary, but in reality, it is not much different from the roller I have. And by using my spur, I can use 2 levels of pressure chronologically without moving my leg. So I apply heel pressure and then I can roll my spur on, which can instantly add another level of pressure on. But that's what it is, pressure. Spurs are not used to jab. That is not the correct usage. There are people who use them that way. That is where it can become much more dangerous. Even so, spurs such as these are not going to be doing the damage you think they will. I teach lessons, and one thing I like to tell my lesson kids, especially the soft-legged lesson kids that just want to kick like this, and it's doing absolutely nothing. Make the desired movement or gait easier than the gait you don't want them to do. So how do spurs make your horse softer? When we kick with the same pressure every single time, and our horses aren't giving us what we want, and we don't change that pressure, and we continue with the same pressure, we create horses with dull sides. They learn that they do not have to listen to it because it only gets to a certain point. With spurs, you have a level up, an extension of your leg. So by using them, you get to add another level in which you can ask them. However, it is much less violent than kicking your leg really hard to get the desired effect. So by creating that level up, you are creating a more loud kick that will get the response a lot more immediately and sooner teach the horse that the soft option is the best option. That's the same with bits. Horses can grow dull in a snaffle. That is a true fact. Just because they don't do it well in a snaffle doesn't mean you should drop the bit. You should even up the bit, actually. Get them good in that bit because they learn pressure can get higher. Same with spurs. They learn pressure can go up, right? They are going to lose this fight. But again, you don't jab with spurs. That's not how you do it. Even in my barrel racing videos, if you look, when I'm kicking, I'm doing this with my foot. So I'm rolling the spurs as I'm kicking with my calves. And while it's hard to tell on video, it is a very deliberate thing I can feel when I'm running. And once you learn to ride with spurs, it does become an extension of your leg. You learn to work with them. You learn the second they touch your horse's hairs. While I understand I'm not ending the stigma about spurs, and there are some people who will still disagree with me, I think educating people on this topic can be very helpful. Because as a first-gen cowgirl, nobody told me how to use spurs. I was told, maybe you should use spurs. I was like, maybe I should. So I used them, and for a long time, I was not using them correctly. My little 12-year-old legs were not abusing the horse, I will tell you. However, they were not having the desired effect. So, anyway, that's our lesson on spurs today.